Oops, hello. This is Mandy James trying to balance her phone inside a bowl in order to talk to you. I've not done this before and I just fancied it actually. I've been cleaning the whole house this afternoon, waiting for it to rain. It hasn't, well it kind of has, a few spits and spots, but there's pregnant clouds outside waiting to give birth. But I don't think they're going to have a very successful delivery. Anyway, I've done the cleaning of the house, so that bit of procrastination is over. I was then going to go and do a few tweeting my book. As you know, I'm a writer, and that's what we have to do, unfortunately. It can be a bit tedious. I hope it's not tedious for the person who's reading the tweets. I suppose it can be sometimes. I'm waffling, aren't I? Waffling. Now, isn't that an odd word? Waffle. When you think of waffle, you think of those things you put in toasters and have for breakfast, those type of waffles. And waffling has always struck me as an odd word. I do like certain words, like chortling, for example. I do like the word chortle. And in my book, oh, by the way, I've decided that I'm not going to do a tweet for my book today. This book, Calico Cat book. I've decided to talk to you about it instead. That's why I'm here, really. Apart from the fact that I don't want to start chapter 2 of my new book. I've had 3 books out this year, and the fourth one will be coming out in November, I think. And I decided the other day I'm going to start a new one. When I say new, it's been in my head, or moving around. No, not moving around. It's been in my head percolating. That's a nice word. For a while. So I decided to plan it out, and I did that the other day. I wrote the first chapter, and I thought, right, I'll do some cleaning and I'll get back into it. But I'm too tired now. So I just thought I'd talk to you about the Calico Cat book. And I'll read you the blurb first, if that's all right. Are you still awake? Yeah, you are. Marvellous. Okay. Right. At 13, Lottie discovers a huge secret which her parents have kept from her, the impact of which proves to be life-changing. Because of the way Lottie's mother handles the consequent fallout, the two become distant. Lottie is rejected by her mother and deemed troublesome, rude and willful. Ever since then, Lottie has struggled with fitting in and actively tries to be different from others. As an adult, Lottie tries to quit her teaching. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. And follow her dreams to become an artist. But will she succeed? And can she put her troubled past behind her? As Lottie embarks on a journey of self-discovery, she will come to examine the importance of life, love and friendship. So, yeah, she doesn't want to fit in. I mean, when you think of, I don't know, I've got my glasses on, my reading glasses on. Most people want to fit in with society. They don't like to stand out, do they? And to be marked as different, and looked at or pointed at or gossiped about. But Lottie does. Well, she doesn't like to be pointed at and gossiped about, but she wants to be actively different from other people. She hates to conform, and she wants to speak her mind, and she does. She's headstrong. She likes to speak her mind. She doesn't care that much about hurting people's feelings, because she thinks it's more important to say what she thinks than to say something else that she doesn't really feel, just for the sake of conformity. And because of this thing that happened to her when she's 13, which she calls her big fat secret, which she divulges to somebody quite close to her in the book, because of that, that's what's kind of started her along this path of wanting to be different. And the title, the Calico Cat, really is an embodiment of who she is. Because Calico Cats, I don't know if you know, Calico Cat is an American term, really, for a tortoiseshell and white cat. And they're all they're different. They're a mishmash of different colours. They're not black, they're not white, they're not Siamese. They're a mishmash, and they're different from most other cats. And she saw one on TV, this is Lottie, and she kind of ran with the idea. And she stopped, actually, because she wants to be an artist, she starts to paint this Calico Cat. Anyway, I'm going to read to you a little bit about when she decides that she's going to go off, leave her job, a teaching job, and go off to do something else. So, chapter 2, 2 weeks ago. Just in case you're interested in hearing more about my life, here's what happened recently. 2 weeks ago, after 6 years teaching history in my local secondary school, I walked out of the classroom and just kept walking. It was one of those moments, like the one I had 17 years ago when I'd taken my tie off and decided I'd had a turning point. A turning point. Never sure how we know what one of those really is. Perhaps we have lots during our life but don't recognise all of them. It could be that we like the idea of labelling particular moments which seem to make a big difference to our lives. Probably life goes on in the same way at the same time, really, because of course we only slap those labels on after the event, in retrospect. I know I said that when I was 11 I experienced a turning point, but maybe I didn't realise it until later when I look back. Anyway, 2 weeks ago was definitely a turning point though, because I physically turned and left the classroom, the building and teaching in general. I hadn't thought about it beforehand, hadn't known I was going to do it. Planning didn't come into it at all. Halfway through teaching a lesson which asked the question, was Custer solely to blame for the Battle of the Little Bighorn, I told the class of 15-year-olds to look at a PowerPoint depicting a huge and colourful battle scene on the whiteboard at the front of the classroom. I used to be a history teacher, by the way, and I often thought of turning and leaving just like that. I didn't do it. I did leave. I took early retirement and left to right. Not left to right, but anyway. Yes, I did leave, but not just like that in the middle of a lesson. That would be quite rude, wouldn't it? But that's what Lottie is like. She is quite rude, and she's an acquired taste. I'd love to be more like her, but I haven't got the guts. I wouldn't want to be exactly like her, because some of the things that she says and feels is not me, but most of who she is I can relate to. Anyway, I started asking them questions about it, and then my eye was taken by a petal of pink blossom that stuck to the outside of the classroom window. That petal was shortly followed by more and yet more, as if from the heavens an unseen hand was scattering confetti. I realised now, of course, that the spindly branches of a cherry blossom tree lining the playground were having a hard time against a fierce and wet north wind, but at the time it seemed like a sign, a turning point. I longed to be out there in the wind, feeling the freshness of its kiss, the damp blossom sticking to my cheeks. I wanted to run to the wild ocean, immerse myself in nature, listen to the roar of the waves, fill my lungs and roar back. One of the students spoke. I can't remember what was said or even who said it, but the voice drew me back to the classroom and 25 faces bobbed in front of me. Teaching wasn't enough. It was like looking at an open can of peas. Not that kids' faces were particularly round or green, of course, though Jeremy Hurley's was sometimes due to his gastric problems. But my job represented the mundane, the ordinary, the I care so little about what I'm eating, I'll just open a can of over-processed and chemically enhanced green vegetables every day type of life. The type of life I had decided I wouldn't live under any circumstances. The type of life that crushed your soul and swallowed your dreams. The type of life that killed you little by little, and you wouldn't realise it until it was too late. And that's one of the reasons I left teaching. I thought, if I don't go now, I'll be there until I'm 65 or longer. And I had to get out. I got out when I was just 50. Back to Lottie. It wasn't the fault of the children. They were just as trapped as I was. They were mostly lovely and far from pea-like the majority of the time, apart from Jamie, as I said. And I did love my subject, but the box-ticking, target-meeting, mechanical, offset-following sham that teaching had become was not for me. And in that blossom-filled can opening moment, I knew I had to get out, do something different, and be someone different. And that's what she does. She gets out, just walks out of the classroom, off she goes, and later on embarks on a journey around the southwest coast path, around Cornwall, with a teaching friend, who becomes more than a friend, Caleb. And they meet some really interesting people on the way. And the thing that happened to her when she was 13, she divulges this to Caleb. But she meets some other people too, who influence her life and make her think more about who she is. And she still wants to be different, but she starts to mellow a little bit because of the experience of her encounters with these other people. Anyway, I'm aware that I've been rabbiting now. That's another thing. You see, rabbiting. Why rabbiting? Rabbits don't talk. Well, they might, but they might speak rabbitese or something, but they don't speak a recognisable language. Maybe it's because they go like this, and they look like when they're chewing, they look like they're talking. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rabbiting about rabbiting now, so I'm going to stop. If you're interested, or if you like the sound of the Calico Cat and you'd like to purchase it, then just go onto Amazon and put my name in, or the Calico Cat, and it'll pop up, and there you are. I enjoyed doing this, and I might do it again. I don't know. I mean, people might have switched off by now because I've been talking for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. I've not checked the clock. But I'm going to go now and think of something else I can do to avoid writing. Bye.